All right, everybody, we've got a special report live. I usually don't do live streams in the middle of the day, but you know what? An elite, massive assault that led with 150 planes into Venezuela between mountains underneath cloud cover, captures Nicolas Maduro, and then escorts him out of the country before they knew what happened is worthy of a live stream, even on a Saturday. Listen, guys, this is Langley Outdoors. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. I'm Braden, I'm your host, and we're going to walk through everything that is popping off right now, from the most recent updates to the details included to Trump speaking to the joint chairman or the joint chief of staff. This is going to be a very developing story as we go forward. So make sure you guys are hitting those emojis, the comments, the chats. I know it's out of order. It's out of normal schedule, but this is something that is wild, honestly and candidly wild. Welcome in, guys. Thank you so much for being off our regularly planned scheduling. I know that it is a little jarring when this amount of voice and freedom hits this early in the afternoon, but it's something that we must do. As you guys get in here, of course, hit that all the emojis, all the likes, all the shares, everything. Make sure people are aware that this live stream just kicked off. All right, people, listen. You kind of have to be living under a rock to not know what's going on right this second, but I'm going to walk you through all the most recent updates because it turns out this is much bigger than we are getting led on to believe. I mean, initially. As you know, the high level is Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan dictator, has now been deposed and he is now arrested by the United States. And I'm going to show you a few little key details there, things that are important that I'm seeing. But we're just going to walk through this. I'm going to have Trump speak. I'm going to have all sorts of stuff. And we're going to kind of feel this out as we get information coming in real time. So keep that in mind. We are doing this real time. But that's the high level story of which we're talking about. All right. So hit this, I saw something, another Donald Trump win. So now here's the thing. When I first was getting notifications about this morning, my big thought was, what was the angle? What was going on? What was happening, right? It's a little bit of an unusual move to see what you're seeing right this second. Like literally, this is literally the plot of Air Force One, the Harrison Ford movie. But as you're looking at this, you're talking about drugs, narco-terrorist state, Americans, border, infiltration, smuggling, all these different pieces. It definitely looks like we're going narco-terrorism. That's what this looks like. Okay, let me get the president's speech going, and then I'll kind of fill in the gaps as we go through this. But this is what just wrapped about 20 minutes ago. Watch this, and I'll keep the comments going. But anyway, this is the press conference where Trump comes in and announces that they did this. I can already see, by the way, the media is going to be like, they depose leaders. They're evil. They're real bad. It's a war for oil. That's coming up in a second, trust me. But we're just going to walk through. See if I can scrub this. Oh, there he is. There's the guy. All right, I'm going to let him speak. I'll come back on the other side.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Big Duff. We appreciate you being here. Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani.
Some other good ones. This guy.
The attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently.
Build a website you love with Wix.
Hold
For
on.
your words,
Sorry.
All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly in just a short period of time.
All right, so this is interesting, guys. A lot of you guys are jumping over here into the chat, and by the way, jump in that chat because this is we're living through a hell of a time. Waiting on the choir, the rapid response choir. That's true. When will you be on Fox, especially Gutfeld? When they call, because me and Gutfeld would have some fun. Okay. They're building their speech right now. This is fun. That's interesting, David. David Hughes says they're building their speech right now. He's referring to the Democrats because here's the angle. I know what we're going to talk about for the whole week. What's going to happen is the strike happens, a narco-terrorist head of state gets arrested, and by the way, you're going to see DEA, FBI, those are some of the tells I'm about to show you, underneath a military operation, and then you're going to have the Democrats say, oh, we just depose leaders, and then we move in, and we take over the state, and then we take their oil and their resources. It's George Bush, WMD 2.0. That's most likely the angle that they're going to go, but they're going to use this as a, oh my God, he's an insane dictator tyrant. Anyway, that's probably what they're going to do, but good call out in the chat. Gigi has got your back with a $2 super chat, says, Maduro, FAFO, go Trump. All right, let's keep on going. The chats, the comments, keep them going, guys.
All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens.
All right, this is one of the most interesting parts about this entire thing, because remember I said a second ago, like, what's the angle? What were they doing? If they've already got indictments from the DOJ, the FBI HRT was used. I'll show you that in a second. And then you've got a military operation, and you got the Secretary of State, and I'm about to show you more Republican senators and House members. They all knew. They're all talking about. This was a much broader thing than just Trump picked up the phone and he was bored from the executive branch. This has got indications of much, much bigger things, which I'm sure are going to bleed out here in a second. Watch. But he just said it, something else. Narco-terrorism. That's the angle.
I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, maybe like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated.
The way this guy talks.
What I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost.
Zero losses.
Many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that.
Okay,
fight.
interesting.
But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have, and you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat killed.
So this is interesting stuff. So I'm actually in the chat right over here. I actually see something I want to talk about. I'm glad you guys are engaged in the chat. This is great. Someone said, Mark from Texas said, Trump loves losing the midterm. I honestly don't know what the political implications of this are going to be. I genuinely don't. However, if you're talking about 97% of the drugs that were being smuggled in from the sea stopping, the border is completely sealed and they're not coming over the border, you're seeing a fall off of drug overdoses across the entire United States. Those are a few points which people might respond well to. I don't know what this is going to do, but objectively, that is an important piece to this conversation. We'll continue more on that because lots of updates will be flooding in a second once he finishes speaking.
25 on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country.
All right. So right there, again, this is the first time I'm listening to the entire speech or the whole speech in its entirety. That's where the Democrats are going to hit pretty hard. Oh, you just took over the country, now you're going to run it. You're either going to leave a vacuum and you're going to let another dictator from the narco-terrorist state come in, or you're going to run it. I mean, it's one of those two things. If you remove the head, you got to fill it with something. Afghanistan would be a really great example. Again, I don't want another Afghanistan. I have no interest in another Afghanistan. But my point is, that's what they're saying. They're going to go down the road of, oh, you just took the country for the oil. That's where they're going to go. I bet you I'll do a video tonight saying called it. Anyway, keep going.
Until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are...
All right, so there's the other thing. And the chat's going back. The chats going back left and right on this are really, really good chats. Keep the conversations going because a lot of you guys are saying FAFO, they shouldn't have screwed with us, they've been killing us. And then some other people are saying I'm a little more concerned about the breach of trust. I'm a little more concerned about overthrowing and the midterm. Like there's lots of conversation over there, which is awesome. That's another thing that they're going to hit on. They're going to hit on the fact that Donald Trump is letting the oil companies, the big evil oil corporations, go in and take all the oil and then give it back to the country. You're literally, I think, the two talking points. You depose a head of state, you attack a sovereign nation, and you go after the oil companies. I bet you that's what the left is going to do with this. It's probably going to be pretty visceral reaction, honestly. But continue.
Ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore.
Again, I'm going to do more analysis and other stuff after he's done.
Was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans. Hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida.
All right, that's really important. You got to pay attention to that part. So he's talking about trying them on American soil because of being involved with a drug kingpin, the head of a drug organization and a narco-terrorism unit, and then also a narco-terrorist state. That's the angle. You killed hundreds of thousands of Americans through trafficking and smuggling drugs in the United States as the head of the state, and then you also had the military protecting you, and that's the angle. That's what they did, right? So you're going to see them try it on their own, on our soil, for things that the FBI, or excuse me, the DOJ lodged as actual complaints and actual, it's the best way to say it, charges. So that's what it seems to be. And again, I want to draw your attention to something pretty large. This is including a lot of different agencies. That's DOJ, that's the military, that's the executive branch. Or you're going to see Republicans in a second. You're going to see senators in a second. You're going to see House members in a second. This is much bigger than what you're seeing right now. So I just want to really highlight that as we continue to go on, because, yeah, hold on.
But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over in particular the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes.
All right, that is really important. Okay, do you guys, I'm going to go big for this, and then we'll go back to Trump, because again, we're learning this together. Do you guys remember these stories? Because everything that stacks together that we've covered on this channel since Trump's inauguration has been observing very interesting moves that have taken place, right? The Tren de Agua group that was happening in Colorado that was taking over apartment buildings, that was a Venezuelan group. He's saying now that it was directed as homeland terrorism against the United States through the Venezuelan government. Okay, that's overarching terrorism. You got narco-terrorism and narco-smuggling. That's drug impacts on American lives. Then you've got all the different military assets that were deployed at the border. You seeing all of it? This is a very long thing. They've got an entire complaint. They've got charges. They've got evidence. Like, this is a very large thing. That's what I want to be bringing up to the attention point. This is not something that was just small. This is obviously and clearly something that's been going on for a long time. That's why I want to highlight, because a lot of these little details he's hitting on all tie together. Let's get back to him, though.
They cut the fingers off people if they call police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're walking their daughters. They're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. It's been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana, and we have done that. It was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing, and we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out.
All right, that's now we're getting into the zone of which I don't need to do that part. Okay, you guys get the idea. So that's actual Trump's speech. Okay, now I'm going to go over to some other things and add a little bit of analysis to what's going on and try to piece this together for you guys. So as you can see, CBS News, I've got the New York Times, and I've got CBS again. I think that's actually the same thing. Is that the same thing? No, that's reacting. Okay, we're going to do a lot of these videos. But U.S. strikes Venezuela and captures Maduro. This is a live feed. Again, I'm going to highlight a few things for you. If you guys are new here, you want to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. That would be incredible, amazing. And of course, emojis, chats, and comments are welcome to all, even the lefties who have jumped in the chat and are now fighting with my normal viewers. All right, here we go. President Trump said Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, his wife, been captured. We covered that. This is going to be a sticky point right here. Just objectively, politically, this is going to be a sticky point. Mr. Trump said in a press conference that the U.S. will run Venezuela on a temporary basis. What does that look like? What are the time frames? They weren't delivered. That's an important thing. You're going to need to deliver. You're going to need to winter elections are happening. You're going to need a whole lot of things. Okay. This is where it gets really interesting on the details of, because again, I don't know all of it. I'm only telling you what I know and what you know. The U.S. Army's Delta Force, an elite special forces unit, carried out the operation to capture Maduro. And here we go. Here's where the senators and the House members start showing up. Again, this is the important piece. When this starts to pop and you start to see all the different angles, you're going to start to pick up something bigger than what you're seeing, or at least in its entirety. A Republican senator said Secretary of State Marco Rubio had indicated that Maduro would face criminal charges in the U.S., where he was indicted years ago, and that Rubio anticipates no further action in Venezuela. The Trump administration has long accused Maduro of drug trafficking and working with gangs designated as terrorist organizations, which Maduro denies. Again, that's the Tren de Agua. That's all the different pieces. This is a very long, large event. We talked about that. Trump says we're ready to do a second one. We don't have to. Yeah, no kidding. Again, this is the part right here. This is going to be a big part of what the left tries to seize on in the United States here. Trump on Venezuela, we're going to run the country. The president said the U.S. will run Venezuela on a temporary basis. We're going to run the country until such a time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition, Mr. Trump told reporters. Again, that vagueness and non-specificity is going to be where they're going to attempt to seize this. The oil thing is coming in a second. Again, you have to understand the whole picture on this. Okay? And it's going to backfire, by the way, when they do this. The left is going to do this, and it's going to backfire. Just start the clock watch now, because tonight's video is probably going to have something of this. The president said, we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we have had for the last long period of years, talking about Afghanistan. So we are going to run the country until such a time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition, and it has to be judicious, he added. Mr. Trump said, we want peace, liberty, and justice for all the great people of Venezuela. That, honest to goodness, that is objectively something that all presidents say after military intervention. That is not something that shines different. The president outlined that all Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military are working with U.S. law enforcement. U.S. law enforcement. Again, you're going to start to see this come in. This is going to be a big thing when you look at all the pieces. U.S. law enforcement successfully capturing Maduro in the dead of night. Again, this is like Air Force One, that movie with Harrison Ford, like almost to the T. The president said Venezuela was in a ready position, but he said they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. That doesn't surprise me at all. It was an incredible thing to see, which would have been kind of cool to see, to be honest. Let's keep on going. And there he is on the USS Iwo Jima after capture, straight up Saddam Hussein style. This is where, guys, again, this is why we look at the bigger picture, not just the flashpoint, right? You got to look at all the underlying elements. That's why I do all the things I do with polling, all the things I do with the media shows. Like, that's why I do all this stuff. You have to understand the whole ball of wax. Maduro expected to arrive today in New York, where he'll be transferred into federal custody. Federal custody. That means he's going to get arrested by the DOJ. He's going to be in federal prison. He's going to get he's going to get arrested and then tried in federal courts on U.S. soil. This is something that they are going to pin him to the wall on here in the United States. You got narco-terrorism, you got probably lots of violence, you got connection to terrorist organizations in Trinidad, Agua, and Colorado, taking over apartment buildings, and a head of a drug kingpin, or a drug kingpin of a terroristic organization. They got a few things they're obviously going to go after. The military plane carrying Maduro is expected to land later today at New York Stewart International Airport. Two sources familiar with the matter told CBS News. Maduro, who is in U.S. military custody, is expected to be turned over to federal authorities when he lands. He's expected to be arraigned in New York federal court in the Southern District of New York next week. That is very interesting. And of course, you've got the opposition leaders in Venezuela saying it's a time for freedom and opportunity. Okay, that's cool. I'm down with freedom and opportunity. Let's jump over. Let me refresh this real quick. Again, we're learning all these details as they come out, guys. Let's see here. Okay, see, there you go. There's even more stuff. Trump says Venezuela, we're going to be running it with a group. What group? What? What's that mean? Asked by reporters how the country will be run, Mr. Trump replied, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. With a group. Does that mean multiple countries? Does that mean the U.S. is not doing it? I want to know that answer. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure. This is the other part. They're absolutely going to go nuts on this. It's got money, it's got billionaires, it's got oil, it's got climate change, and it's got Venezuela. Man, they're going to hit on this so hard. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. Now, that's interesting, Mr. Trump said, and we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. The reason this is interesting, yeah, I got some fights going on in the chats, guys. All right, you guys just do that. I'll be over here. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. Okay, that's interesting because it's not nation building from the United States. It will be paid for by the oil companies directly, assuming, obviously, that the oil companies would want to have access to the oil, which would then give them a foothold in Venezuela, which would then give them profits from Venezuela. I can see that being the angle that they're going to go with that. Of course, the lefties are going to lose their minds on that one because his big buddies in the oil company, that's going to be a thing. That's just going to happen. But I look forward to dismantling and debunking and destroying it. Yeah, same thing. Mr. Trump said we're designating various people. It's largely going to be for a period of time. The people who are standing right behind me, Mr. Trump said, pointing to Hegseth, Rubio, and General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. So the group of people is United States cabinet members. That's interesting. The president asked by reporters about U.S. troops. We're not afraid of boots on the ground, noting that we had boots on the ground last night. Of course, that makes total sense. Like, again, Air Force One style. Rubio said Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. Again, that's obviously. Oh my God, he actually said this. All right, Pete Hegseth apparently he's reading the chat. Pete Hegseth says Maduro effed around and he found out. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, speaking after the president at Mar-a-Lago, praised the U.S. operation and said of Maduro that he effed around and found out. Our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime, Hegseth said. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice on all full on display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until he didn't. Hegseth said he effed around and he found out. Okay. It is very clear what that statement is meant to say. That statement is meant to say every terrorist organization and dictator who's rabble-rousing around the entire planet, you might want to stop. That's what that vibe says. Maduro, overwhelmed. Iran, bombs through a pinhole. You can see where that angle is going. Stop now. I mean, kind of hard not to see what that was. Okay, let's keep on going. We got more stuff. And this is going to be the angle. This is the important stuff that you're going to see a whole lot of. This is where it's going to go, the conversations in the United States. Trump said Maduro was kingpin of a vast criminal network trafficking drugs into the United States. That's what it's going to be. Okay, so you're going to have the angle of he was a kingpin of a vast criminal network that was trafficking drugs in the United States. He had terrorist organizations in the United States, which were the criminal gangs that he's talking about, and they were smuggling in and killing Americans, and he was an illegitimate dictator. That's the angle you're going to take. The left is going to say, you just invaded a sovereign country, you took the leader, you're going to now depose it, you're going to put in a puppet government, and you're going to bring in the oil companies to take all their wealth, and then you're going to kill the Venezuelans. That's what the left is going to say. That's what the right is going to say. All right, here we go. The president called Maduro an illegitimate dictator and alleged he was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. Now, I would like to note what Trump just said of 97% of ships that were smuggling in drugs have been stopped. Okay, that's good. 97% of drugs stopped through the sea is good, and the border is locked down and shut, and drug overdoses are falling off of a cliff. Those are all good things. Objectively, those are good things. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice as they stand trial on American soil. Okay, we got that. The president said now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one here. Let's do a little refresh from CBS, and let's get any more details come through. Rubio says this was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification. This is interesting. The mission was trigger-based. Conditions had to be met. That's the weather and all that stuff. It's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, may we do this at some point in the next 15 days? But it's largely a law enforcement function. Again, there it is again. But it's largely a law enforcement function, Rubio said. At its core, there was arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Okay, so the angle is very clearly the DOJ and the Department of Justice needed this guy. The military said, we got you, boo, and then they did it. That's effectively what they're saying. Rubio acknowledged that there are broader policy implications here, but it's not just the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission. Congress has a tendency to leak. Does it? That wouldn't be good. Yeah, maybe a very difficult result, of course. Okay, so we're going to go over here. Yeah, we're going to go over here to the New York Times and see what they're doing with live updates. Guys, I'm providing analysis in the moment. If you're enjoying it, if you're enjoying the show and you just want to be part of something bigger than yourselves, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. We are on a mission to save this country and observe what's going on from those pesky lefties all the way to those rhino Republicans all the way in the middle. All right, listen, here we go. Let's see here. We already told you that part. New York Times kind of echoing that. Let me get a refresh here. I want to see what New York Times is saying with the update. CIA sources. Yeah, so here you go. So, guys, it's already starting in real time. I'm giving you lefty thoughts before lefty thoughts happen. That's what we do. Watch this. 1 minute ago, Trump's news conference raises many questions. Who exactly will be running Venezuela? As he stated, the United States will do it for a period of time. Trump indicated there will be a U.S. military presence as it pertains to oil. God almighty. Can I get some emojis, chats, comment? Can I get some sort of non-tangible digital love for calling that before they did it? Good Lord. My God, it's like clockwork. Reading lefties' minds before they even do it. What will that look like, and how many U.S. troops will be deployed? Oh my God, it's so good. That was one of the most consequential news conferences of Trump's 2 presidential terms, but it remains unclear that will follow. Super chat from Tammy Jones for $5 says, making our hemisphere safe. Again, we're getting all sorts of different emojis and emotives that are happening in the comments and the chats. We've got some lefties coming in with all caps, and we got some righties that are holding the line, defending the chat's honor. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys. All right, because every once in a while, lefties stumble in. We're getting to that size where lefties be lefting. All right. Yeah, same thing, guys. You can tell the difference between CBS and New York Times. Trump's news conference has concluded. The biggest takeaway, of course, is Trump's announcement the United States would run Venezuela and the lack of details about how that would work. Again, you have to understand everything's going to be questioning lefty, oil, military, dictator, despot, takeover, puppet state, money, oil company. That's where it's going to go. Look. My God. It's like we left before they left. But it's also striking how much the president focused on oil and how central that would be to how the United States runs the country. If I had cricket sounds right now, I would play the cricket sounds. I need to get those on my soundboard. But my God, could we have called this, you and I together? We all knew. We knew. Right here. We knew what lefties were going to do before lefties even did it. All right, let's keep on going. Yeah, guys, I swear. Asked about the potential presence of U.S. forces in Venezuela, Trump said that there would be a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil. See that? Look. Trump has made various comments during this news conference showing the military operation was at least in part about gaining more access to oil in Venezuela. You see that? It's only a matter of time. Get ready. You're going to see CNN. You're going to see CBS. You're going to see The View. They're all going to be hitting on the oil angle. They already put out the word. My goodness gracious. Let's see here. This part, again, when asked how much running Venezuela potentially for years will cost, Trump said it won't cost us anything. He's, of course, talking about the oil manufacturers coming in and fronting the whole thing, which, by the way, if he already knows the oil manufacturers are going to do it, there was a pre-thought conversation. Let's see. Trump says that Rubio has spoken to the newly sworn-in Venezuelan president. She said she would support what they're doing. Shocking. I mean, like, hey, so we just exfilled the last guy. Now that you're the new president, can we count on your cooperation? Si, senor. I mean, like, my God. Yes, I think we can. I think we will. In fact, would you like anything? My God, can we offer you a coffee? Oh man. Let's see. Yeah, so right that's the angle that they're going to say on the right side. Trump's suggestion that Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez would help the United States run the country was stunning because it came just as Venezuelan state television was playing a clip of her denouncing the U.S. military operation. Yeah, right here. My God, guys, you are about to go down the road of lefty attack on oil all day. Watch. 26 minutes ago, and again, this is Maggie Haberman, so that's a lefty. Asked why running a country elsewhere in the Americas is America first, Trump said, "I think it is," citing the need for oil and energy. It's worth recalling his quote to The Atlantic in which he said that America first is whatever he says it is. This guy. But there it is, citing the need for oil and energy. I mean, like, it's going to be a battle of you use the military to take other people's oil. That's what it's going to be. We'll keep on going as we continue. There it is again. Trump has long had an interest in procuring the oil of other countries, including during his first term. My God. Trump is demonstrating how much this effort is about securing access to oil. When he asked the timeline for the U.S. involvement in the country, he immediately turned to rebuilding oil assets. I mean, like, you can see exactly where this is. I mean, like, they're going to go 100% towards the oil angle. Yeah, 100%. All right, let's go back over here to this one and get some reactions, give you some real-time analysis on what the lawmakers are saying. Guys, seriously, like, the content today, I know exactly what we're going to be talking about. There's going to be so many breathless liberals screaming about oil and control and military and mean Trump. Let's see here. Give me a second while I continue to read a few of the highlights here. I don't care about that. Here's Bondi. This is an important one because she's involved in this. Attorney General Pam Bondi said on Saturday morning that Maduro and his wife have been indicted in the Southern District of New York on narco-terrorism charges. So there you go, as we thought, it's going to be narco-terrorism. It was not immediately clear whether the nation's top lawyer was referring only to charges contained in the indictment filed in Venezuela in 2020, or if there'd be new. I don't really care. That's what they're going to go with. Here you go. This is what I was saying with the Republicans reacting. Let me zoom in for you. House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican from Louisiana, said he spoke with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth after the operation in Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro is responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans after years of trafficking illegal drugs and violent cartel members into our country, crimes for which he has been properly indicted in U.S. courts and an arrest warrant duly issued, and today he learned what accountability looks like, Johnson said. President Trump is putting American lives first, succeeding where others have failed, and under his leadership, the United States will no longer allow criminal regimes to profit from wreaking havoc and destruction in our country. Okay, right there. I'm going to zoom in for you. This right here. This is the angle. This is the whole framing of the right here. You killed 100,000 Americans. You've wreaked havoc and destruction in our country. You're a foreign dictator controlling a terrorist narco ring. FAFO. Those are the points from the right. The left is going to be about oil and controlling Venezuela. All right, let's keep on going. Senate Intelligence Chair Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas, said he spoke with Rubio and that Venezuela's interim government must now decide whether to continue the drug trafficking and colluding with adversaries like Iran and Cuba, or whether to act like a normal nation and return to the civilized world. I urge them to choose wisely. Okay, again, that's a senator on the Intelligence Committee. So, you can tell the angle here is one of strength, one of don't screw with us. Mike Lee, this is important. Utah Senator Mike Lee said that he also spoke with Rubio, who said that Maduro will be brought to the U.S. Lee would also anticipate no further action in Venezuela. Lee added the operation likely falls within the president's inherent authority under Article 2 of the Constitution to protect U.S. personnel from an actual or imminent attack, but he did not offer any other details. So that's, again, you're seeing all the political start, right? Trump drops bombs, drops 150 planes, they capture Maduro, they get him in jail, he's going to face charges, and then the political earthquake happens. Because they're already formulating. I guarantee you there's already talking points and emails going out across the entire left-wing country. That's what's happening. Lee also knows that Republicans are doing the same thing. Here you go, VP Vance. The brave special operators who pulled off a truly impressive operation. Maduro is the newest person to find out that President Trump means what he says, Vance said. The vice president highlighted Maduro's previous indictments as justification for the operation. And you can see, you don't get to avoid justice for drug trafficking in the United States because you live in a palace in Caracas, he said. John Thune, Republican from South Dakota, this is a statement, an important first step to bring him to justice. The drug crimes, which is indicted in the United States. That's the angle. That's the entire thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene continued to be a liberal. I do not care. American, I don't care. Democrats react. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat from New York, said Maduro is a criminal and authoritarian dictator who has oppressed the people of Venezuela for years, but that Mr. Trump has the constitutional responsibility to follow the law and protect democratic norms in the United States. That's an interesting statement from the leader of the Democrats. Okay. The promotion of security and stability in a region requires more than just military force, as we painfully discovered in Iraq and Afghanistan, Jeffries said. Again, that's interesting. That's not condemnation. Far too many questions remain unanswered, he added, including whether American troops remain on the ground in Venezuela and the details of Mr. Trump's claim that the U.S. will run the Latin American country until a transition occurs. That's interesting that the Democrats are responding. That's almost more interesting than the Republicans. Ranking member Jim Himes, Democrat. The administration must immediately brief Congress on its plan to ensure stability in the region and its legal justification for this decision. That is fascinating. They're not going after the oil angle in Congress. They're only doing it in the media. Democrats in Congress seem to be accepting that they took him out. That's interesting. Again, you see me do this in real time. This is brand new content. This is truly interesting right here. There we go. Here we go. This is what I'd expect from the lefties. Without authorization from Congress and with the vast majority of Americans opposed to military action, Trump just launched an unjustified illegal strike on Venezuela, said Massachusetts Democrat Jim McGovern. To be fair, Jim McGovern would go against Donald Trump if he said that the moon was in space. I mean, honestly, Jim McGovern is anything anti-Trump. Okay. And that's kind of, honestly, that's the updates at this moment. Let me do a refresh here to make sure I'm not missing anything, but that seems to be the... We want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. That's funny. I mean, it's true, but it's still funny. All right, let's see here. Make sure I've already done the latest. Yeah, foreign leaders reacted with shock and skepticism. The U.S. seizing Maduro. There's the actual... They actually took out vehicles. Okay. That's interesting. This is fascinating. All right, all this stuff... We've already covered most of the breaking stuff. Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to be covering this all day. We're going to have lots of reactions. We're going to get clips. We're going to have lots of stuff to talk about. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. I guarantee you at some point today I'm going to do a video about the lefties screeching from on high about taking over oil and taking over countries and being a despot and a tyrant. It's only a matter of time. They're probably filming the video right now somewhere out in that lefty ether. But just letting you guys know, we will stand stalwart on the wall. We will guard, and we will let you know the second that it happens, and probably nuke it from orbit and have some fun, much like the Venezuelan organization. All right, listen, guys, that's all I've got for you guys. Thank you for the special live coverage attendance. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm Braden. I love each and every one of you just the right amount. See you later.